You know what nobody tells you when you start getting serious about woodworking? They don't tell you that the fastest way to get worse with a saw is to buy more of them. I learned that the hard way. I spent years collecting saws: a dovetail saw, a tenon saw, a carcass saw, a flush cut saw, a couple of Japanese saws I bought because they looked beautiful in the catalog. And you know what happened? I had a drawer full of saws I barely knew how to use. Every time I picked one up, I was basically starting over. Then I spent some time studying how traditional Japanese woodworkers actually train their apprentices, and I noticed something that stopped me cold. They don't start with a collection. They start with one saw. One, a ryoba. The boring double-edged starter saw that nobody writes breathless reviews about, and they use it for everything until they can make it sing. Today I'm going to make the case that this one humble saw outsmarts every specialized saw the experts tell you to buy first. And I'll be honest with you about where it falls short, because it does. Plus, stick around to the end, because I'll show you a tracking exercise I picked up that will improve your sawing faster than anything else I've ever tried. Let's get into it. The ryoba is probably the most underestimated saw in woodworking. It's not flashy, it's not specialized, and nobody builds their YouTube channel around it. But for a beginner who wants to actually develop real skill instead of just collecting tools, I honestly believe it's the smartest first saw you can own. Let me show you why I think that, and then I'll tell you exactly where I think you should eventually move beyond it. So let me give you some background on this saw, because understanding where it comes from helps you understand why it works the way it does. The ryoba has been a staple of Japanese woodworking for centuries. The name itself roughly means two blades, and that tells you everything about its design philosophy. One edge has cross-cut teeth, typically around 18 to 22 teeth per inch, designed to sever wood fibers cleanly across the grain. The other edge has rip teeth, usually around 8 to 12 teeth per inch, designed to chisel along the grain. Two saws in one handle. Now here's what I find really interesting about the history. In Japan, wood has always been the primary building material, not stone, not brick, wood. And because of that, Japanese craftsmen developed an incredibly refined relationship with saws, but they didn't start their apprentices on the finest, most specialized tools. That would be like teaching someone to drive in a race car. They started them on the ryoba, because it teaches you the fundamentals of both types of cuts without letting you hide behind a tool that does the thinking for you. There's a principle in Japanese craft training that I've seen described as mastering the general before pursuing the specific. The idea is that a craftsman who deeply understands one versatile tool will learn a specialized tool in days. But a craftsman who starts with specialists never develops that foundational sense of how a saw actually moves through wood. When I first heard that, I thought it sounded like something you'd put on a motivational poster. But after living with it for a while, I think it might be the most practical training advice in all of woodworking. So let's start with what a ryoba actually gives you in practical terms. You pick up one saw, and you can cross-cut a board to length, rip it to width, cut a tenon cheek, trim a shoulder, and rough out joinery. That's not an exaggeration. A good ryoba with a blade around 9.5 inches long, something like the Gyokucho No. 650 or a Z-saw brand in the same range, will handle stock up to about 2.5 inches thick on the rip side and cross-cut anything you can reasonably hold on a bench. The cross-cut edge on a typical ryoba leaves a surface that's clean enough for most joinery right off the saw. We're talking a kerf of about 0.02 inches, sometimes less. That's thinner than most Western backsaws, which means less waste and less cleanup. The rip edge is coarser, obviously, but it tracks straight and removes material fast enough that breaking down rough stock by hand doesn't feel like punishment. Now, is it the absolute best cross-cut saw? No. Is it the absolute best rip saw? No. But here's the question nobody asks. Does a beginner need the absolute best at either one? And the answer, honestly, is no. What a beginner needs is enough capability to do real work and enough practice time with one tool to develop real feel. And that's exactly what a Ryoba delivers. Now here's where my opinion gets a little spicy, and I know some people will disagree with me. I believe that the single biggest mistake a beginning woodworker makes with saws is buying too many of them too soon. And I think the woodworking community, myself included, has been partly responsible for that. We tell beginners they need a dovetail saw for dovetails, a carcass saw for tenon shoulders, a tenon saw for tenon cheeks, maybe a flush cut saw for dowels, and a panel saw for breaking down stock. That's 5 saws before you've built your first project. And every single one of those saws has a different weight, a different balance, a different tooth geometry, a different plate thickness, and a different ideal technique. So what happens? The beginner picks up whichever saw seems right for the cut, fumbles through it because they've only used that particular saw 3 times, puts it back, and picks up a different saw for the next cut that they've also only used 3 times. They never build fluency with any of them. It's like trying to learn 5 languages at the same time. You end up speaking none of them well. But a beginner who owns one Ryoba and uses it for everything, that person makes 200 cuts in the time it takes the 5-saw beginner to make 50 cuts with each. And those 200 cuts all build on each other. The muscle memory compounds, the tracking instinct develops, the feel for how the teeth engage different grain patterns becomes automatic. By the way, if you are enjoying learning about these ancient methods, I put together something I think you will really appreciate. It is called Kenji's Workshop, and it is a collection of 100 ancient Eastern woodworking secrets for the modern craftsman. Techniques like the ones we are covering today, and a whole lot more. You can grab your copy by scanning the QR code on screen or just use the first link in the description. All right, let us keep going. This next part is the one that really convinced me because it's about something most people don't think about when they're shopping for saws. The Ryoba is actually harder to use than most specialized saws, and that's exactly why it's a better teacher. Here's what I mean. A Western back saw has a rigid brass or steel spine that adds weight and keeps the blade from flexing. That spine is doing some of the work for you. It's guiding the cut, dampening your mistakes, keeping the plate tracking straight, even when your technique isn't perfect. A Ryoba has no spine. The blade is thin, sometimes as thin as 0.015 inches, and it's completely unsupported. If your stroke isn't straight, the blade will wander. If you push too hard, it'll buckle. If your body isn't aligned with the cut line, you'll drift off course, and you'll see it immediately. That sounds like a disadvantage, and in the short term it is. Your first dozen cuts with a Ryoba will probably be rougher than your first dozen cuts with a good dovetail saw. But here's what happens over the next few hundred cuts. Because the Ryoba gives you 0 forgiveness, you learn to let the saw do the work. You learn to use your whole arm, not just your wrist. You learn to stand so your shoulder, elbow, and the cut line are all in the same plane. You learn to start a cut with a pull stroke, using almost no downward pressure, just letting the teeth find their grip. And once those habits are locked in, you can pick up any saw, Western or Japanese, specialized or general, and use it well, because the fundamental skill is in your body now, not in the tool. I watched a Japanese woodworker once start a crosscut on a piece of hinoki cypress, and his starting technique was so gentle that the saw barely made a sound for the first 3 strokes. Just a whisper. Then once the kerf was established, maybe a 1/16 of an inch deep, he lengthened his stroke, and the saw just glided. No wandering, no correction, no fighting. That doesn't happen because of the saw. That happens because of 10,000 cuts with a saw that punished every bad habit until there were no bad habits left. Now let's talk about money for a minute, because I think this matters more than most of us admit. A decent Ryoba costs between $25 and $40. A Gyokucho 240mm Ryoba, which is a workhorse of a saw, runs about $30. For that $30, you get both a rip saw and a cross-cut saw in one tool with replaceable blades. Now let's price out the beginner kit that most experts recommend. A good dovetail saw runs $80 to $150. A tenon saw, another $80 to $120. A carcass saw, $60 to $100. A decent panel saw, $50 to $80. We're looking at somewhere between $270 and $450. And you still need to learn how to sharpen Western saws or pay someone to do it. The Ryoba? When the blade gets dull, you buy a replacement blade for $12 to $15, snap it in, and you're back to work. No sharpening setup, no learning to set teeth, no filing jig. I'm not saying cost should be the only factor, but for a beginner who isn't sure how deep they want to go into hand tool woodworking, spending $30 to find out makes a lot more sense than spending $300. And if you decide this craft is for you, that Ryoba doesn't become obsolete. It stays in your shop as a utility saw for the rest of your life. I still reach for mine at least twice a week, and I own more saws than I probably should. Now here's where I have to be honest with you, because if I don't say this, the comments section will, and they'd be right. The Ryoba is not the best saw for everything. It's not even close to the best saw for some things. If you get serious about hand-cut dovetails, you're eventually going to want a dozuki. That's the thin-backed Japanese saw with very fine cross-cut teeth, usually around 25 to 30 teeth per inch. The dozuki cuts a curve so thin you can barely see it, and the spine keeps the blade rigid for those short, precise strokes that dovetailing demands. A Ryoba can cut dovetails. I've done it. But the results are noticeably rougher, and you fight the tool more in tight spaces because that second row of teeth on the opposite edge gets in the way. There's no getting around it. For fine joinery, a dozuki is genuinely better. Similarly, if you do a lot of deep ripping, anything over about 3 inches, the Ryoba's blade isn't long enough and the cross-cut teeth on the opposite edge become a real nuisance. You'll want a dedicated rip saw, whether that's a kataba, which is a single-edge Japanese rip saw, or a Western rip panel saw. So here's my actual claim, stated plainly. Start with a Ryoba. Use it for everything for your first 6 months to a year. Build real saw skill with that one tool. And then, when you hit a specific limitation, a cut you're making regularly where the Ryoba genuinely holds you back, that's when you buy your first specialist, not before. Because now you'll know exactly what you need and exactly why you need it, instead of guessing based on someone else's recommendation. Let me share some patterns I've noticed over the years, things I did myself and things I see beginners do constantly that this whole approach addresses. The first pattern is buying the tool before understanding the problem. Most beginners buy a dovetail saw before they've ever attempted a dovetail. They're solving a problem they haven't encountered yet with a tool they don't know how to use. If they started with a Ryoba and attempted dovetails with it first, they'd develop a clear, felt understanding of what a dovetail saw actually needs to do differently. And that understanding makes them a better user of the dovetail saw when they finally get one. The second pattern is blaming the saw instead of the technique. When you own 5 saws and a cut goes badly, your first instinct is to wonder if you used the wrong saw. Maybe the teeth were too coarse, maybe the plate was too thick, maybe you should have reached for the other one. When you own one saw, that variable is eliminated. The cut went badly because of something you did with your hands and your body. That's uncomfortable, but it's also incredibly useful information. The third pattern is never developing a relationship with any single tool. I know that sounds sentimental, but there's real practical truth in it. When you use one saw day after day, you learn its personality. You learn exactly how much pressure it wants on the pull stroke. You learn how it behaves in soft pine versus hard maple versus white oak. You learn the sound it makes when it's cutting well versus when you're forcing it. That intimacy with a tool is what separates someone who can use a saw from someone who is truly good with a saw. The fourth pattern is copying the professional's kit without copying the professional's workload. A professional furniture maker who cuts dovetails 8 hours a day absolutely should own a dedicated dovetail saw. That's not a luxury for them, that's a production necessity. But a hobbyist who cuts dovetails twice a month, that person benefits far more from one well-practiced saw than from a specialized saw that sits in a drawer between uses. Now for that bonus tip I promised at the beginning. This is something I adapted from a training exercise I saw described by a Japanese sawmaker, and it's the single fastest way I've found to improve your tracking with a ryoba or any hand saw. Take a piece of soft, straight-grained wood. Sugar pine is ideal, but poplar works fine. Mill it to about 3/4 of an inch thick and 4 inches wide. Draw a line across the grain with a marking knife, not a pencil. The knife line gives you a physical groove to register the teeth in. Now, start your crosscut using only the first 2 inches of the blade, right near the handle. Take 10 short pull strokes just to establish the kerf. Don't try to cut deep. Just focus on keeping the saw plate perfectly vertical and the kerf exactly on the line. Here's the key part. After those 10 strokes, stop. Pull the saw out and look at the kerf from the end of the board. Is the kerf perfectly square to the face, or did it angle to one side? If it angled, that tells you exactly which direction your stroke is drifting, and you can correct it on the next attempt. Do this 20 times in a row, just short kerfs. Checking after each one, you'll be stunned at how fast your tracking improves. I went from inconsistent to reliable in about 2 weeks of doing this for 10 minutes at the start of each shop session. It's boring, it's repetitive, and it works better than anything else I've tried. One more thing before I let you go. I spent a long time gathering the best ancient Eastern woodworking methods I have come across, and I put them all into a book called Kenji's Workshop. 100 techniques that most modern woodworkers have never seen, with step-by-step photos and clear explanations you can actually follow in your shop. Scan the QR code on screen right now, or grab it from the first link in the description. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next one.